So we have a new pope. His name is Robert Prevost, and he's Pope Leo XIV. So why is this important? Well, I think this could be quite significant. He has a rather interesting chart, which I'm going to look at right here, and we have the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which, as I'll elaborate on in another vlog, which should be coming today as well, it's been so important, that particular aspect, Sun conjunct Neptune, in terms of developments in Christianity. From the inception of Christianity and the kind of imposition in the Roman Empire, at the end of the Roman Empire, through to St. Francis of Assisi, the Reformation, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction's always there. And so I'm beginning to think that this Pope's going to be very influential and something important is going to be afoot. Could it be something to do with this whole one world religion that we know Tony Blair's pushing? What's it called? Chrislam? Is it to do with the kind of pushing of the Noahide laws? Or is it to do with a re-emergence of Catholicism? Because we know, you've got the Groyper movement and Candace Owens and a lot of people talking about religion again. And with the Pluto and Capricorn generation coming after Gen Z, they're bound to be more conservative, perhaps harking back to traditional forms of religion, etc., for some meaning in their life. Now, just a little bit of disclaimer here, I'm not Catholic. I'm not a big fan of organized religion. I think it can be quite narcissistic. We used to have royalty and religion before we had sort of politics that we have now. It's a form of politics, and I think the Pope is kind of a political leader. This Pope, just like many others, very much into the current thing, as I'll elaborate on. I also have another vlog that I just want to cover something that Whitby Webb had to say about the previous Pope, which kind of puts a new slant on this whole thing. As I say, I think religion can be quite narcissistic. It likes to gaslight you that it's got the inside track on what God wants, needs, what's going to happen before, but what's going to happen on the afterlife, But I think as a human race, we don't really know where we come from. We don't know what's going to happen afterwards, and no one's any the wiser. But they kind of love bomb you with talk of heaven, then threaten you with talk of hell, and it all just keeps people kind of under control. So this Pope has a pretty interesting chart. I was curious about the North Node in Sagittarius. I think that's quite suitable for a person who's devoted their life to the church. He's born in Chicago, but he's got Peruvian roots. He's also had a diocese in Peru and has a Peruvian passport. So he's strong links to South America, which you can see why they chose him. I think he was 201 to be a pope, because no one was expecting an American pope, but Donald Trump was kind of keen on it, and I believe there's something to do with a connection to Revelations and end times prophecy that there would be an American pope. So I think a kind of Sagittarius North Node suits a career in the clergy. I mean, I have a Sagittarius North Node, and I think it does encourage one to pursue something like I have, astrology, where you're looking for meaning, to connect the dots, wanting to understand how things fit together in the cosmos, in the grand scheme of things, and extract some sort of philosophical meaning to your life. So that's kind of interesting. Now, he is a Virgo, and I did feel there were some echoes to Keir Starmer going on there, because they both have a very micromanaging, perfectionistic side to them that is quite clinical and a little bit detached. So what I do think about this Pope, however, is he's the first Pope for a long, long time who has Pluto in Virgo. And that's why I think he will be a reformer. I think he's definitely going to go after the younger people in terms of bringing a lot more young Catholics on board, Catholics of all different from all different continents. So I definitely think he's going to use social media a lot more, be a more communications-based Pope, and I do think he'll appeal to the youth. I think he's a reformer, but he's not a radical. So he definitely understands strategy, and he'll be looking to strategically reposition the Catholic Church. Now, he has, let's see there, Sun conjunct Venus in Virgo, which is interesting because I did read an article in The Guardian, and they said that he is quite a good pacifier, negotiator. He brings people together. He's a rather amiable chap. So he's able to walk in, settle people down, friendly smile. There's a lot of warmth about him. And I do feel that he's going to want to bring peace. Now, a lot of talk about Donald Trump being the peace president, bringing peace. I mean, he's got this deal with Saudi Arabia now. He was most recently talking about a separate state for the Palestinians, and he wants to keep the whole peace thing going with Iran. Now, Israel's not very happy about that. But I wonder if this particular Pope is also going to move very strongly in that direction of pushing peace. Sun conjunct Venus, a peace Pope, and he will very strongly get on board with all those initiatives. We know he's skeptical about Donald Trump, sure. He's not on the same team. But he could be also instrumental in pushing peace. Will that be successful, or does the pursuit of peace prior to kind of a more apocalyptic event, does that play more into Revelations? Could be. Now, this particular Pope, we can't tell exactly where his moon is because we don't know his time, but it looks like his moon is conjunct Pluto. So I think there's a lot of the Iron Hand in the Velvet Glove. Moon conjunct Pluto in Virgo says to me he is extremely clinical, very, very determined, and with Scorpio with Saturn in Scorpio, also a very perfectionistic side. So I do think he has a incisive nature. He's very analytical, strategic. He will push for certain very specific aims. Now, what with Sun conjunct Venus and Jupiter in Leo, I feel he adores the whole ceremonial, the pomp and ceremony, the dressing up. I feel he's very, very into that. Also, a very controlling side to his personality. He's got extreme levels of self-control. He is fastidious and precise. He's got very stringent requires for hygiene. He is quite like Virgo in that way because Saturn in Scorpio is very much like that as well. And sorry, I think I've gone on about. Okay, so that part of his personality, precise, blah, blah, blah. Now, interesting that he has a wedge or bundle pattern. So all the planets are concentrated in about a third of the chart, which does indicate some specific personality traits that I think are quite interesting. So there's the fact that he's a reformer, a negotiator, going for peace and unity, very controlling, possibly subtly emotionally manipulative. What you see is not necessarily what you get. There's a very polished exterior, as we talked about, with his perfectionism, eye for detail, being quite clinical. But underneath it, there is something, a very, very powerful need for self-importance and to have an effect. That's why I think this is going to be a very significant papacy, because there is a great determination in him to be some kind of superhero. Now, the wedge or bundle pattern is often associated with people who want to be heroic. That also plays in to the North Node in Sagittarius. Almost wants to fight the world, take the world on. You know, he really wants to grab the situation, run with it, and make an impact. Sometimes with his bundle pattern, there can be a psychological inflation, almost like a Walter Mitty attitude, where perhaps he feels he can achieve more than he really can, or he pushes things too hard, or he has an inflated idea of his own ability. There's a lot of exaggeration within this character, not always a sense of proportion, balance, or what truly would be the right thing to do. Sometimes he can get carried away with himself. He may even feel a little bit superhuman, so it's almost like this whole situation could go to his head there. Now, this wedge pattern and a lot of the things in his chart indicate good fortune, luck. Jupiter in Leo square Saturn in Scorpio speaks of great wealth and riches. And what's the Vatican about? He's enjoying the opulence of this whole thing. He loves a little bit of luxury, as I say, enjoys the pomp and circumstance of the whole thing, and has a sort of audacious character as well. So I see this as a Pope with a daring vision, possibly not always something that's necessarily going to work out because he over-eggs it. He may unconsciously wish to fail, or maybe he's pursuing a gender he doesn't understand, which why I think he's like Starmer. Starmer's almost on a mission where he feels emboldened, empowered, like he's doing the right thing, but is he? And I think there's the same questions for this Pope. Now, it often says with this particular wedge pattern, his path can be altered dramatically or halted completely. He will pursue a complicated karma. Now, again, he's got a steely determination, perfectionistic, critical, strategic, serious, very responsible, great deal of personal reverence for this position, so he is taking it seriously. Kind of extreme overcompensation at times, which makes me think about this Walter Mitty type of aspect to his character.